So this is, yeah, so I was saying that I want these live streaming to be casual, fun, friendly. So I'm gonna show you some of my tools. So this is whoops, what is this? Okay, so this is a very cheap pen. I think from India. It's only what, $3 at the $1 store. So this is what it looks like. It's very simple, and what you do is you can fill it up. Whoops, I think I'm running out of ink. And you can use a syringe to fill up this cartridge. So with the small amount of ink I have left, I'm just going to show you. Now you can see here that the thin lines are not very sharp, and so this is not what I used to do calligraphy. This is just for my regular everyday writing. But it's good to use a fountain pen every day because it keeps you sharp. You can practice calligraphy even if the pen is not really sharp, but you practice calligraphy. So let's start with the basics. Usually you have like the height, sorry, is 5 sizes. So this is the right height. So if we write A, it's like this. And of course there are other letters in the A family because they have the same body. So for example, G, you can see that they have the same body. You have the letter U, you have D, you have Y. Y can also be written like this. So these are two ways of writing the letter Y. And then we have the second family out of 5. The second family is the B family. Then we have the H, we have the M, N, and to a certain extent we have the R. And then we have the third family, which is more straightforward, made up of almost like a vertical strokes. So the I, the L, the K, which is a little bit special. We have the F, we have the T, very special, and I think that's it. I'm running out of space here. And then we have the fourth family. I'm gonna write it here, made up of diagonals. So first of all we have the V, and then the W, we have the Y, like I said here. We have the Z, and sometimes people put like a horizontal stroke like this. And finally the last family, I leave it for last because in my experience it tends to be the most challenging for most people because it doesn't have any structure. So that's the oval letters. So let's start with the O like this, and then we have the E, which is almost an O. And then we have the C, which is like this, and perhaps the most difficult of all, the S. So in the video course we're gonna take a look also at the italic capitals, because these are lowercase, right? So let me take another piece of paper. Okay, so the italic capitals are not like the Roman capitals. They're more, they have flourishings. So for example, the A would be something like this, right? The A. The B would be something like this. The C would be the D. I haven't practiced in a while, so that's why they're not quite perfect. But you get the idea, you know, the E. What's important about calligraphy is that you always want to notice the similarities or the common traits among letters. So for example, this flourishing here, the A, it's quite similar to the B here, and the D and the E, right? And speaking of the E, the F is also quite similar to the E. See the flourishing here? So for example, if you were to write a full word with these italic capitals, it would look something like this, you know, A. So let's say Alexander. Like that. And one trick, after you take the video course, one trick that I recommend is to practice a whole sentence. And there are special sentences that contain all the alphabets. So for example, the sentence the quick brown fox jumps And when you write a whole sentence like this, it allows you to practice the spacing between words and also spacing between letters. So you can see here that I made a small mistake. You know, here the spacing is tidier than here. So this the space is a little bit too big here. The quick brown fox jumps with the S here, jumps over what? Over the lazy dog. Now, I'm used to writing with a fountain pen, but when you start out in calligraphy as a beginner, you should really practice with, I don't have it here, but you should practice with a felt tip pen, which gives you more control, because what happens with a fountain pen tip is that it's very slippery, right? The ink is going to flow very quickly, so it's hard for you to control. And you can't put too much pressure on it because the tip is sensitive, right? It's made of metal or something, so it's better to use a felt tip pen. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go and grab it. Just hold on a minute. I'm gonna go and grab the felt tip pen. Just want to show you what it's like, or what it looks like. Where did I put it? I'm very messy in my studio. Okay, I got it. So this is what it looks like. This is what I recommend for beginners. You can practice with this. And of course, when you want to relax, you can use like a fountain pen, or you can use a parallel pilot pen. I don't know where I put it, but or a speedball metal nib. This is what it looks like. So you just dip it into a bottle of ink. Where's my ink? Yeah, a bottle of ink. Hold on, let me show you. Yes, so this is the bottle of ink, right? So you just dip your speedball nib into it, and you can write, and it's much sharper than a felt tip pen. But the advantage of a felt tip pen like this one, first of all, it has two sides. Like one is the small side. This is, I think it's 1.1 millimeter. So this is good for handwriting, ordinary writing. And the other tip is 3.5 millimeters. So that's the one that my students use to practice. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like. Well, I'm going to write it here so you can see the difference, right? So this is a felt tip pen, and if you were to write an A, once again, don't forget it's about 5 width, so it's about 2.5 lines. So it should fit here, right? So if you were to write the letter A, it would be something like this. So as you can see, because it's big, you can control, you can see your mistakes, and you can learn. So don't practice with the small fountain pen, or even the small tip here. For example, if I were to write the letter A, it would be like this. It's still sharp, but you can't really see the details. So it's better to practice with the 3.5 millimeter end here. So let me show you what students actually learn in the video course. And when you buy the video course, you also have access to all of our Zoom sessions, right? So it's a lot of fun, because in a Zoom session you can share your calligraphy, and I'll provide feedback, so I can correct your mistakes, and so that you can avoid making this, developing bad habits. So once again, we said that it's about 2.5, right? So the letter A, what we learned in the video course is that it's a downstroke, and then diagonal, another downstroke, small serif, and then you complete the top like that. And sometimes you, once you're advanced, you can just do it in one shot like this. One shot. So you're pushing it to the left, and then like that. But at the beginning, I prefer if students do it in separate strokes. So downstroke, another downstroke, and then they complete the top here like that. So that's what we learn in the video course. And of course, before you start any calligraphy session, you should really warm up. So how we do that is that we create waves like this, just to get into the motion. And you can do the other way around too. When you practice the B family, you do it like that. So that's how you warm up. So once again, this 3.5 millimeter is what I recommend for practicing. And when you want to relax, you can use a small tip, and you can write the letter, like this. Now at the beginning, it's going to be sharp because it's new, but the more you use it, the less sharp the thin lines are going to be. So just don't panic. It's not your fault, right? The more you use a felt tip pen, the less sharp it's going to be, because of the because it's going to be worn out. What's great about italic is that it's very versatile style. You can be very creative. You can be very straightforward, like, let's say, like this. Now this is very straightforward, right? And you have to be straightforward like this when you start. You can't be too fancy. You got to master the basics first. But after a while, you can get fancy. So let me show you what I mean by fancy. I'm going to rewrite the same word, italic, but I can be fancy like this, that. So you can see that it's very fancy. It's not like the italic that we wrote before. And we can even go beyond that. Like if you have a letter like the letter M, like this, right? So very fancy. So let's say mom. So that's why I teach italic, because it's the most useful and the most versatile style. But later on we can learn other. Once you master italic, you can learn the other styles, the other 4 styles more easily. But you have to master italic first, because you don't want to spread yourself too thin and fool around with the other styles. Just master italic first, and after that we're going to learn in the Montreal Calligraphy Club, we're going to learn Gothic, which is very interesting. It's very formal. So it looks like boxes, right? And this is the basic Gothic. I'm not even getting fancy here. So this is Gothic. We're going to learn also uncial, which is very exotic. It's like, I'm not really an expert in uncial, but just to give you an idea, it's very peculiar. This is uncial. And then we have Roman. Roman is very impressive. It's a very imperial, as you might expect, it's a very imperial style. So you instead of a 45-degree angle here, you move it to about 20 or 30. So you move the angle. So this is 45, and then 30, and then 20. After a while, you're going to get used to it. So for Roman, like this. My Roman is not really perfect, but just want to show you. And the O is like that. The M. The A. Like I'm really not a Roman specialist, so I need to practice more. I'm more of an italic specialist. But this is really the basic Roman. You can add like the serif at the end here, make it more. So for example, the N can be like this, and you can add the serif like that. Right. And finally, we have foundation, which is a very legible style. So you change the angle from 45 to about 20 or 30. So foundation is something like this. It's very approachable, very legible style. You can innovate with all the 5 styles, but it's best to learn the basics first before you innovate. So that's foundation. Okay guys, I'm gonna go for a break, but I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna create more videos like this. I'm using OBS Studio, so it's very good. I can broadcast all over YouTube live, and there's no maximum number of people who can view. So I hope you had fun, and